he talked to Carrie, and he mentions my brother was going to pay me this for saying that it was me in the tape. It probably wasn't his brother that said that. It was probably someone like Daryl McDavid or an attorney that was trying to do that. They're probably just trying to get rid of the whole scenario. Bob didn't even have access to his own money. No, he didn't. Daryl McDavid. I mean, there were times that Lindsay had to go pick up Rob off the freeway. One time he ran out of gas. He was going to his house in Olympia Fields. He was in his McLaren, and he ran out of gas. So we had to get gas money to him. He was out at 89th Street, Then there was another scenario where he was at a hotel, and I had to go pick him up. He didn't have money, he wasn't broke, but he didn't have an ATM card. And, he would get, Daryl McDavid would cut a check, and either me or June Brown would go cash it, and we'd give Rob his money whenever he needed it, cash. So he didn't operate on credit cards, and he was given a stipend. And then he would, just go, Daryl McDavid, he was in charge of all of his money. They'd review his books, I think, every few months, but, honestly, I don't think Robert had the true education to understand, everything, and he had to put a lot of trust into Daryl, and, Daryl was the accountant when he was manager, so that's why Daryl became his, business manager when Barry left, because it was just last man standing, and he'd already been a part of it, and he trusted him.
Let's talk about...
So let's take this back to 2013. This is when R. Kelly is finding his finances in disarray. He had the IRS coming at him. Drea, you got people booking shows and pocketing money. These allegations of imposters showing up at concerts, etc. And also, he's being told that he needs to audit his then manager, Daryl McDavid. Some time passes, he ends up firing Daryl McDavid, and he sues R. Kelly for $1 million, saying he wasn't getting paid. But how does that make sense when people are coming out saying that R. Kelly was getting stipends, that he wasn't in control of his own money? These people keep making allegations of these payouts, but he's not in control of his own money. And the person that is in control turns around and then wants to sue, saying he's not getting paid when he's in control of the money. During that time, it was said that R. Kelly set up a meeting and he was asked a whole lot of questions in which he had no answers to, such as what was his net worth? What were his liquid assets? What does he had paid for? Could he get his accounting for the last 10 years? Check out any fraudulent accounts, pull his credit report, see what's in his name, etc., considering people were saying he didn't have a debit card, credit cards, none of that. He was getting stipends from his manager in which other people would cash for him. With that being said, let's fast forward to 2018, because as we can see, even people from his past come back into play at some point or another. Now, Rocky Bivens, for example, who was seen in a docuseries about this little cult activity, he had some questionable statements on that docuseries. And let's just say that he was there between 94 and up until 2018. He was also doing security, which upgraded to management. So let's just take a crash course as to who Rocky Bivens is, because he's another important person. According to these indictments, his entourage, including security, bodyguards, managers, all these people make up the enterprise. And yet, these people 1 minute say questionable things in interviews, but then say that they never saw specific activities. They wouldn't allow certain activities. Let's just see who Rocky Bivens is. Now, mind you, other people have already set the stage for a lot of sequence of events, all the way from 94 up until this current time. So you already had people like Demetrius Smith saying that he went to the record labels telling them of this problem R. Kelly had. You had all these alleged settlements, which included the record labels. You have this artist who's questioning his money. And then you have these people who have burned him in the past come back into play, or have had disagreements with him and fell out with him come back into play. According to what has been reported, the same person that has been called into question when it comes to R. Kelly's finances and how things should be audited is a person by the name of Clyde Caldwell, who was the owner at Jive Records. According to what was said, he saw Rocky Bivens and saw that he was one unique individual around R. Kelly and let him sign artists to his label. Another person at another record label, Craig Kallman of Atlantic Records, continued to let him do deals with him, with artists to writers to producers for many hit records. Then he had another person, John Platt of Sony Music Publishing, had continued to allow him to give artists, writers, producers a chance to live their dreams and become wealthy while doing it. By the way it sounds, this person, by being associated with R. Kelly, made an advance in his career. But it gets pretty interesting. According to what was said, while he was performing, he met two significant people who came to see R. Kelly's show, Jermaine Dupri and Tupac Shakur. JD invited him to Atlanta and asked if he wanted to work for So So Def, but he had his sights set on a female group, Escape. Pause. We now know that Rocky Bivens is now married to one of the members, Latasha. So anyways, he eventually worked his way in close enough to end up managing Escape. Tupac insisted that he began managing artists because he was impressed by the way he was able to move R. Kelly around. So oftentimes, Pac would remind him of his skill set. Managing Escape, Barry Hankerson told him he would be running a new record label named after him called Rockland, which was a joint venture between Interscope, Jimmy Iovine, and R. Kelly. That's interesting. That's the first time I ever heard that mentioned, that R. Kelly's label, Rockland, was named after Rocky Bivens. He assembled what he called a dream team for Escape, which consisted of an upcoming attorney by the name of Larry Rudolph and the famed business manager, Bert Padell. Quickly, the industry got noticed that R. Kelly's right-hand man was managing artists, and the rush began. According to him, after R. Kelly didn't give him a check on tour when everyone else was getting paid, and he was doing two jobs, security, performer, he decided that he never wanted him to pay him, and he used that motivation to begin his managing career. As long as he was around R. Kelly, he could position himself to make his own money. That's something that I've spoke on before, and how majority of these people may gripe about not getting paid about something, but a lot were content in just being around them, building their names off of him. So in the beginning, I was working for free, closing $20 million deals and not getting paid. That's another question. All these different people closing deals. At this particular time, the interviewer asked him if he wanted to give any shout outs. And he said he most definitely have a lot of people to credit, beginning with his parents who are no longer with him. Barry Hankerson was the first person to teach him the music game and school him on how to negotiate. Interesting. According to Rocky, shortly after Robert invited him on his tour, the 12-play Very Necessary tour, featuring Salt and Pepper and Escape, he began just seeing Robert's personal security and watching him back until one day, Rob and his brother, Killa, which is Kerry, got into a fight and Robert kicked his brother off tour. Because Killa was one of the one performing with Rob every night in the front of 20,000 people, Robert felt Rocky could feel his shoes since he stood on stage every night watching the show. So that would be the first time somebody else mentioned the fallout between Kerry and his brother, and the motivation and why other people could have influenced anything that he thought about his brother. So let's fast forward, because in 2018 there's this BBC interview by this guy by the name of Ben Zhang. So at first he was running this little episode of cults and whatnot, and somehow he found R. Kelly in that by the allegations from the Savages. He interviewed all the different accusers. This was before Surviving R. Kelly. So in that, you had Rocky Bivens, in which that was the first time it claims that someone, for the first time, confirmed the illegal alleged wedding between Kelly and Aaliyah. I find it interesting. A lot of these participants in these docuseries were so quick to run with this nobody cares about the black girl thing. When you have people like this guy who did the interview, but prior to doing that, he was following another alleged cult leader who was really doing some cult-like activities, soliciting money from people, etc. And it was okay when it was just a gang of black people following this guy by the name of Nature Boy. But when it became an issue of this girl right here, that's when you have the docuseries rolling. And still, they haven't done anything. So is it really nobody cares about the black girl? Or is it all about ratings, which we saw? But let's go into the clip of which Rocky Bivens gave his statements.
From now on, I'm about to do New Talent Mondays. I liked a lot of people that came on my live and they had a lot of energy. So from this day forward, y'all get a whole week to come on my live and never know who's going to tune in to critique you on coming on my live to see where you can end up next in the music game. You know, it's time for me to give back to a lot of you young artists. And a lot of y'all really want to sing and know how to sing. But don't come on here if you don't have the talent. And if you got the talent, be ready to hear what it takes to get to the next level. Man, stay tuned. Be a global. Be you, be original, be global. Peace.
Well, see, I'm a real OG with mine. You know what I'm saying? And in my bedroom, we listen to real grown sex music that sounds like this. My mind's telling me no. My body's telling me yes. Baby, I wanna be with you. 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 don't want to hurt nobody, but there is something that I must confess. We're doing a real deal in our house, baby. Let's go, Kelly.
It may be something to note that while everybody keeps claiming that everybody knew these things but were okay with this, you have people alleging that there was a ceremony between R. Kelly and Aaliyah, but then implying that can they really get married if she was a minor type statements. At the same time, promoting their group through him seems a little bit crazy. And then you have people like Demetrius Smith in the comments of Rocky 4 years ago. You have the close friend in the comments. And you have to think about the fact that BBC, just like many other of these media outlets, are in syndication with a lot of these record labels. So let's just hypothetically say that Sony realized that they had a big problem on their hands when they couldn't account for a lot of money, especially when it comes to the fact that this man not only was an artist, but he produced and wrote his music. That says a lot in itself. And I think it's very biased that these specific outlets are the ones leading all these slanderous stories against R. Kelly.